o'clock. I'd like to call a meeting to order. Misty, would you call the roll, please?
Al Glanville.
Here.
J.R. Huddleston.
Here.
Deborah Johnston. Here. Bill Luken.
Here.
Melissa Niles. Here. Travis Orbach.
Here.
Larry Pratt.
Here.
Linda Varvel.
Here.
Thank you.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As you remember, Council, if you have a conflict of interest, please let everyone else know before you vote. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. A motion to approve the minutes from the March 4th council meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 4th council meeting.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. A motion to approve the bills in between.
Make a motion to approve the bills in between for $205,095.08. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. And a motion to approve the current claims.
Make a motion to approve the current claims of $427,340.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Do we have anyone from the public that would like to speak with the council tonight? Come on up to the microphone, please. Give us your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Can y'all hear me? Is that on?
Yeah.
Is that working?
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Okay. Good evening. My name is Kim Allen, and I live out in the county, out by Oral, South Dakota. And I want to thank y'all for giving me a chance to speak with y'all tonight. I just want to invite each and every one of y'all, as well as anybody that's listening or watching via the internet, to join us here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. I have invited the founder of the Concerned Citizens of South Dakota, as well as retired Lieutenant Edward Moses, to come and speak with us and do a presentation on the truths and dangers of medical marijuana. Retired Lieutenant Moses has over 40 years experience in law enforcement, educating the public, dealing with the issues of marijuana and how it affects not only a person but a community as well. So we're going to have them do a presentation that will be there for also for questions and answers afterwards, and we will have a petition on hand to sign where we are gathering signatures to get the repeal of the medical marijuana law on the ballot in November for South Dakota. So I just wanted to take a chance, invite each of y'all. I have sent out some emails as well. And if you have any questions, there's a lot of, seems to be a lot of misunderstandings, untruths maybe, about medical marijuana and what it is that's come down over the past couple of years since it's been approved here in South Dakota. So,
Kim, what time was your meeting tomorrow?
starts at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Be here in the annex.
Can I get the name of the speakers again?
Yes, Ed Moses and Travis Ismay. Travis is a local rancher from Butte County, and he grew up there, and his family has been heavily affected by some of the medical marijuana grow houses and such that have come in, and he is just a citizen and said, he wanted to do something about it. So, he's got a petition going. It's, and we're collecting signatures, so.
ISMAY.
ISMAY, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. Next on the agenda is a proclamation for the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. Office of the Mayor, Hot Springs, South Dakota proclamation. Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. Whereas the United States became involved in the Vietnam War because policymakers in the United States believed that if South Vietnam fell to a communist government, then communism would spread throughout the rest of the Southeast Asia. And whereas the Vietnam War was fought from 1961 to 1975 and involved North Vietnam and the Viet Cong in conflict with the armed forces of the United States and South Vietnam. And whereas members of the United States Armed Forces began serving in an advisory role in South Vietnam in 1961, and whereas, as a result of incidents in the Gulf of Tonkin on August 2nd and August 4th, 1964, Congress overwhelmingly passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution on August 7th, 1964, which effectively handed over war-making powers to President Johnson until such time as peace and security had returned to Vietnam. And whereas in 1965, United States Armed Forces ground combat units arrived in Vietnam, and whereas by the end of 1965, there were 80,000 United States troops in Vietnam, and by 1969, a peak of approximately 543,000 troops was reached. And whereas on January 27th, 1973, the Paris Peace Accords were signed, which required the release of all United States prisoners of war held in North Vietnam and the withdrawal of all United States Armed Forces from South Vietnam. And whereas on March 29th, 1973, the United States Armed Forces began the withdrawal of combat troops from Vietnam. And whereas more than 58,000 members of the United States Armed Forces lost their lives in Vietnam, and more than 300,000 members of the armed forces were wounded. And whereas in 1982, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated in the District of Columbia to commemorate those members of the United States Armed Forces who died or were declared missing in action in Vietnam. And whereas members of the United States Armed Forces who served bravely and faithfully for the United States during the Vietnam War were caught upon their return home in the crossfire of public debate about the involvement of the United States in the Vietnam War. And whereas it was also the first time in history America failed to welcome home its veterans back as heroes. And whereas the establishment of a Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day would be an appropriate way to honor those members of the United States Armed Forces who served in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Hot Springs City Council do hereby recognize March 29th, 2024 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. The Hot Springs City Council further honors and recognizes the contributions of veterans of the armed forces who served in Vietnam. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the great seal of the city of Hot Springs, South Dakota, this 18th day of March, in the year of our Lord, 2024. We also this year added signatures from the council members themselves, so it's not just a proclamation with my name on it. So at this point, I would like to ask any Vietnam War veterans to please stand and be recognized if you're in the audience. I believe we have some up here. So how many do we have? Thank you for your service. Al?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Larry? Thank you. Mel, better, I want to thank you.
And Mayor, I want to thank you.
Thank you. This proclamation will also be read, I believe it's March 29th, at a dinner down at the American Legion. So again, any veterans that want to join us down there, please put it on your schedule. Next to council updates, Dustin Kleinsauser. Update from the Tom and Ann McCauley Vision Fund.
Thank you, Council. Can you hear me? Is that on?
You need to be closer to it.
Get a little closer to it. Is
There
that
you go.
better? There you go. All right. For those who don't know me, my name is Dustin Kleinsauser. I'm a longtime resident from Hot Springs here. For you new members, I don't know if you're familiar with the Tom and Ann McCauley Vision Fund that was established, 2 years ago? Tom and Ann were longtime residents of Hot Springs, and they had a vision to provide a fund to fund projects that aren't on your guys' table, that will help the community grow, will help educate people of Fall River County in the area. Last year, we awarded two awards, one to the Boy Scout Center and then to the other to the Ministerial Association. One really cool thing, this committee is put together by a group of different people. JR is the council representative for you guys on the Vision Fund. We open up applications, we get submitted applications, and then we review it as a committee. The cool thing about this year was it's completely different projects than it was last year, so it's kind of fun to see what other people's ideas for the community might be. With that being said, I believe we had 6, 7 applications this year, something like that. We decided we're not funding full projects, but we decided as a committee to support 2 projects that are going to be happening. One project, we as a committee feel and really love the murals going around town. So one was to the Cultural Development Organization to assist with finishing the mural across from, I believe it's E-Free Church by the school there. They got it primed, and so we're as a committee are going to put up $2,000 to help with the materials and the fund for the artists to help finish that. And then the other one is the World Fossil Finder Museum. I have to apologize because I didn't know exactly what I know of the Fossil Finder Museum, but I didn't know what was in it. I've never been in there, and shame on me being a Hot Springs resident. I believe it was JR was explaining the fossils that they found actually came from Edgemont. I didn't know that. The big, I don't know what they call that.
Tylosaurus.
Tylosaurus actually was found in Edgemont. I didn't know that. So we're gonna help fund. They wanna do an outdoor education area. So the committee decided to help fund some of the cost of the concrete so they could start their pavilion, so they can do educational classes for schools, for things like that. So again, we're not funding the whole project, but we're a part of it. And so with this being our second year, we had a little growing pains, there's gonna be modifications for the next few years. We're actually gonna open up the applications a lot sooner this year for round 3. I believe we're gonna have a meeting in April, and then in end of April, probably May, we're going to open it up for 2025 funding year. So that way we can get more advertising, more. We just ran into the time limit that we set ourselves this year. We just ran into issues with advertising and how do we get the word out there. So now that we got the process down, we're going to look at how can we build this program even bigger. So any questions for me?
Did you mention the amount for the fossil finders, or did I miss it?
No, I probably forgot. We're going $2,500 on that for
Thank you.
to pay for the concrete, so.
Where's the info for your fund? Like the application and
What's that?
the application and the information for your fund?
Yeah.
Do you have a
How do
website?
you get it?
I mean, do you have like a website informational?
We did, I believe, did we get an ad in the paper this year? I believe. We did a little article. We had Facebook, more or less, it was a lot of more word of mouth.
Okay, word of mouth, right,
Yeah.
okay. What's the best way to get an application?
Actually, we have one here, or Olivia, I believe, has some here, or we can, I can email you the link to our email. We have an email that we can forward you the application from.
Okay.
And what is that email, just for the record? Sorry to put you on the
ask me
spot.
that. It's automatically enabled on my computer. No,
Right.
McCully Visions Fund at, I believe it's McCully's Vision Fund at gmail.com, I believe.
Is that plural, Macaulay's?
Yeah.
It's a big fish.
And like I said, I can get you an actual link to the email, or I can get it to Misty and she can get it out to the members. The next steps moving forward is, the city, how is the money transfer, I guess, between the Vision Fund and us, and if I'm not mistaken. So next week, I'm going to get together with Misty. We're going to request the funds, and then I'll schedule with these two businesses, and then get with Brett and get a picture in the paper, and then we'll start advertising for next year's Vision Fund. Sound
That's
good?
great.
Any other questions?
6 to 7 applications seems like a good number if you're only working.
And what was nice was it was completely different than last year's group, so.
It was fun. Do you have them report on the successes of the?
It's funny you asked that, because at our last meeting, we're wondering how the other ones were doing. So I did email them, and I apologize. I thought I had the emails in my folder, but I didn't. The Boy Scout Center, they reported back that they've upgraded all their electrical. They've done a bunch of the interior stuff, and this year, hopefully, they're going to get it painted and with some of those funds. The Ministerial Association, we purchased 2 computers for them. That they were going to use for the general public and do different things with. They're not as happy with the outcome, but they're putting some stuff in place it has been used, but not to the level that they want it to be. So they have some plans that they want to put together to get it used more.
Cool, thank you.
Anyone else?
Very much.
I want to thank you folks for the time that you put into this, and the groups that you have chosen over the last couple of years. They themselves are giving back to the community, and it's just, handing it off forward. So I really appreciate what you folks have put into this. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's great being part of it too. So especially being the long-time member that I've been in Hot Springs. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to personnel. Going to get a motion to approve personnel actions A and B.
Make a motion to approve personnel actions A and B.
Second.
Did you pick one, Misty?
I think I heard, thank you. A female voice on this side faster, sorry.
That's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to our only ordinance for tonight. Ordinance A, first reading of ordinance 1256.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of Ordinance 1256, an ordinance revising Title IX, General Regulation, Chapter 92, Parks and Recreation, Chapter 92.17, Animals Restricted.
Second.
Discussion. So this one adds some language to make it a little clearer where the animals are restricted at. It talks about public sidewalks or streets. And this one did have a review by our attorneys. Any other questions? Misty, would you call the roll, please?
Travis Orbach,
Yes.
Larry Pratt,
Yes.
J.R. Huddleston.
Yes.
Hal Glanville,
Yes.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Deborah Johnston,
Yes.
Melissa Niles,
Yes.
Linda Varvel.
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion passes. On to our resolutions. Our first one, Resolution A, Resolution 2024-7, an assignment of a delinquent uncollectible account.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-7, assignment of delinquent uncollectible accounts receivable.
Second.
Discussion?
Are these, so these will be wiped off the books?
Yes.
We would still collect if we could, but we're no longer counting them as a receivable on our financial statements because collectability is highly doubtful.
So when you say assignment, I mean somebody else is going to come in and, are they buying it from a city or what?
Nope.
What do you mean by assignment?
We're assigning it to uncollectible. We're taking it out
Oh, I
of the
see, okay.
receivables. and
Within
making it
the different
collectible.
accounts for accounting purposes, assignment, okay.
Anyone else?
Great questions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Our last resolution, Resolution B, Resolution 2024-8, amend a citywide fee resolution.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-8, amend citywide fee resolution, cemetery grave digging rates.
Second.
Discussion? So council, if you remember, we amended these particular rates maybe a month and a half ago. And it was at a time where there wasn't a grave digger that had made a commitment to be available to do that. We now have one that's stepped up and said that they're willing to do that. As a city, we certainly don't want to compete with private business, nor do we want to do it. So we're raising our rates to the point where if in an emergency only, as it's indicated here, these would be the rates that we charge. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to new business. New business item A. Can I get a motion to approve contract 2024-8?
I make a motion to approve contract 2024-8, 3-year Mueller Civic Center vending and service contract with Scott Shannon.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item B, a motion to approve contract 2024-9, tree trimming and removal services.
Make a motion to approve contract 2024-9, tree trimming and removal services, Trim It Up.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item C, a motion to advertise for bids to construct a hangar taxi lane extension.
Make a motion to advertise for bids to construct hangar taxi lane extension, 383 feet by 25 feet, and hangar approaches, non-AIP, using airport bipartisan infrastructure legislation, BIL, funding to pay for 90% of the AIP eligible costs, South Dakota Aeronautics, 5% of AIP costs, and remaining 5% of eligible AIP costs, and all non-AIP costs that come from city funding was included in the 2024 budget.
Second.
Discussion? What does AIP stand for, Bill?
Airport Improvement Program?
Yes.
Okay. Bill, this is something that's been talked about. It's Airport Advisory, question, not a statement. And if there's anything you'd like to add?
No, we did review this in Airport Advisory and recommend that the council does approve this. What this does is this extends the taxi lane on the east side of the new 10-unit T hangars, which will give access to those 5 T hangars on the east side of that structure, which will then make those rentable. As in the motion here, the non-AIP eligible costs for the approaches, this puts asphalt on the approaches into the hangars themselves, which was not part of the project, nor was it ever planned to be part of the project. We talked about this in the budget hearings last year. I think we put $144,000 to cover our portion of the taxi lane extension, the approaches, and our portion of the pavement maintenance that is not part of this, but will be coming shortly. So it's all part of our ongoing work at the airport.
And this is just to make the hangar rentable?
Yes.
Leasable? So what's the time frame to return on that investment? Number of years?
We got 100% grant to build
Yeah,
it.
But there's also non-AIP costs, right?
That, not for the original hangar. Is that what you're asking for, the return on investment? Because you don't make any money off a taxi lane.
Right, but to lease the hangars, that's the
Yeah, the
purpose.
hangars, we got 100% grant.
Right, but I mean, in order to cover the taxi lane, how long down the road is that going to take you before you see that break-even point?
I'd have to do the math. The aprons are going to cost us about $80,000. We're getting about $175 a month for the interior hangars, $185 a month for the end hangars. We have people ready to go into those, so again, I don't have the math in my head, but it's a very acceptable incremental rate of return.
Right, I'll just bring up something to think about.
I mean, it's, without paving the aprons, the building's pretty much useless.
So that was already part of the plan,
Yeah.
just another phase for it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. New business item D, a motion to approve a 5-year glider hangar lease agreement.
I make a motion to approve the 5-year 2024 through 2028 glider hangar lease agreement with the Black Hills Soaring Club.
Second. Discussion?
This again was discussed at Airport Advisory and recommend that the council approve this. 5 years ago, we worked this lease agreement out as far as the content of the agreement with annual increases, and that's what you see going forward here. It's about I'm looking at Misty, it's about a 12.5% increase a year, I think. But it is an annual increase in the lease rate for the hangar. And it is much more than the 12.5 cents or 12 cents per square foot that we get per year that we get for land leases. So it's a lot more.
They're a recurring renter too. They occupy the whole space.
Yeah.
So I have 6.4% increase. Mary did the math from the old one, so I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head what it is, if I did it right.
And this was discussed with the Soaring Club before we even brought it to the Airport Advisory Committee.
I'm sorry, Mr. Did you say 24%?
6.4.
6.4, okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item E, a motion to set a public hearing on 4/2/24 at 7:10 PM.
I make a motion to set a public hearing on 4/2/24 at 7:10 PM on the application for a special sale alcoholic beverage license from the Mammoth site for the Mammoth Days Dance event to be held on June 22nd, 2024 at the Mammoth site, 1800 Highway 18 bypass.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item F. Can I get a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $3,211.65?
Make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $3,211.65 to the general fund, street lighting repairs and maintenance, 101-43160-42500, for the damage done to the light pole during an accident on Highway 18 truck bypass on 2/1/24. Revenue received from Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, claim number B as in boy 002827, P as in Paul 00.
Second.
Did you pick one?
Lukens, Varvel.
Linda?
Oh, okay.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. On to new business item G. A motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $5,950.92.
I make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $5,950.92 to the Water Fund Vehicle Repairs, 602-43350-42510, for hail damage repair of W3-2018 Chevrolet 3500 VIN number 1179, caused by this July 18th, 23 hailstorm. Revenue received from SDPAA claim GC 202-311-5935.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item H, a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $692.92.
Make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $692.92 to the general fund, airport equipment repairs and maintenance, 101-43500-42530, for damage to the equipment storage building, super AWAS anemometer and humidity temp sensor, and runway light lenses caused by the 7/18/23 hailstorm. Revenue received from SDPAA claim number GC 2023115933.
Second.
You okay, Hal?
Yes.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item I, motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $976.86.
I make a motion to approve automatic budget supplement of $976.86 to the Evans Plunge Fund, supplies 621-45150-42610 for damage to 4 outdoor tables and 3 chairs caused by the 7/18/23 hailstorm. Revenue received from the SDPAA, claim number GC 2023115933.
Second.
Discussion?
I got a question real quick. So do we use this money to replace what was destroyed, or do we kind of put it towards something else?
You wouldn't be supplementing it if you weren't using it to replace. So a couple things have to happen. We have to receive the check and we have to spend the money. So sometimes spending the money comes first, sometimes it comes second, but both those have happened when you see an automatic budget supplement.
Okay. And then the other thing, sometimes I know they give you a certain amount of money, and then when you fix stuff, don't they give you like another release? That's what I'm thinking about with my
Yeah, we
with my
have to
roof.
accept the funds. And the next one you're about to approve for the Mueller Center, that's even like, so the cost of the repair turned out to be even higher than the initial ACV value they gave us, so we were able to claim some additional coverage.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if that's what you're referring to when you accept the payment.
Yeah, I know, because
for
they hold some in
repairs.
reserve.
Yep.
I think,
The
and then-
accumulated depreciation, I think
Yeah.
is what they call it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item J, motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $168,690.
Make a motion to approve an automatic budget supplement of $168,690 to the general fund Mueller Center repairs, building repairs and maintenance, 101-45600-42520 for roof repairs due to 6/13/22 hailstorm. Revenue received from SDPAA claim number G as in George, C as in Charles, 2022-111-390.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. New business item K, a motion to approve a travel training request from PD Captain Phil Shively.
I make a motion to approve travel training request from PD Captain Philip Shively to attend the Enhanced Concealed Pistol Use of Force Training 327 to 328-24 in Pierre, South Dakota.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. And our final new business item L, a motion to approve travel training request from PD Chief Ross Norton.
I make a motion to approve travel training request from PD Chief Ross Norton and PD Officer Matthew Maxfield to attend the Profiling Dangerous People Training April 10th through April 11th, 2024 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Second. Discussion?
I had another question. So I was curious, are we, do we see any threats here? You think, from shooters?
They
and
encounter threats
Oh,
more
yeah.
often than you'd
Really?
realize.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We classify our calls each month by high risk. And so we're seeing for the year, about 20% of the calls are considered high-risk calls. And by that, either the officer, the victim, or the perpetrator could have been injured or worse in the call. So yeah, there's stuff goes on that this training is necessary for.
Is that a list I could get a hold of?
Sure.
Like, how do I get a hold of that?
I can get it to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Brings us to our committee reports. Our first one, Administrative and Finance, JR, Melissa.
Admin Finance met on March 11, 2024 at 1 o'clock. Present were Finance Officer Misty Summers Walton, City Administrator Bob Nelson Jr., Alderwoman and Co-Chair Melissa Niles, Alderwoman Deb Johnston, Alderman Hal Glanville, Alderman and Chair J.R. Huddleston. Old business, number 1, additional costs related to water, wastewater replacement, suspended sidewalk, and other road-related project costs, ongoing review and discussion. Water fund cash balance is currently at $770,000. Our contract is roughly $2.3 million. We have been billed and paid roughly $1.5 million. $58,000 in grant funds for water sewer projects remains. Suspended sidewalk and nothing to report. Item number 2, continued discussion, possible sale of land owned by city. Item A, 4.14 acres adjacent to the Simon Quarry near Evergreen Cemetery, general government surplus. Committee has removed this item from the agenda. No contact from Simon. Item B, 7+ acres north of Hayden's property in Hot Brook Canyon. Water replat and only offer for buildable piece for sale secure waterline easement surplus order to locate and draft easement. City engineer is worried if this piece of property is sold and developed that sewage could affect the city water. Committee is removing this item from the agenda, not recommending sale. Item 3, update city job descriptions, update desired minimum qualifications, and add other desired qualification. Remove SD, DLIC requirements, update SHGC, Southern Hills Golf Course, work hours, days, descriptions, update rec director, number of hours, title of develop coordinator, golf operations manager, description updates. City administrator is still reviewing. Some minor changes in verbiage have been made. Review is ongoing. Item 4, discuss CDL training and repayment. Committee is recommending paying for the Class B training and certification with a 2-year commitment of employment by employee when certified. Committee is unanimous on paying employee wages for classroom time only during training. Item 5, review 1 year with gauge installation at city shop. Propane tank, cost of propane. Are we saving money, or is it beneficial to keep the large tank? The gauge is working fine with approximately 23% of propane still in the tank as of 2/13/24. Maintenance will be monitoring this level closely. Committee recommends removal of this item from the agenda. 1-year review complete and acceptable. Item 6. Fall River County Dispatch Agreement 2025 and beyond. It's under review by Safety Committee. We recommend small incremental annual increases. Committee still feels we are double paying. Tabled until next meeting. New business, mayor items, there were none. City administrator reports highway meetings continuing at 10 a.m. starting 3/12/24. Discussed updating fine and bond schedule and parks ordinance per city attorney, which requires a revised ordinance to increase fines. Item 3, committee member items. Deb stated Fall River County Equalization meeting is set for April 18th and 19th. And JR mentioned complaints received about the junk cars, etc. around town. Item 4, review monthly finance officer reports. Misty provided an update of the finance report. Misty stated the District 9 meeting will be in Hill City on the 27th. And Misty recommended the upcoming municipal elections, mentioned the upcoming municipal elections, and nominating petitions are available. Number 5, uncollectible accounts receivable, HSC 4P 2016 and Shaw 2015, total $59,563.43. Budget implications. Misty recommends writing these off as collectible and is highly unlikely. No objections. Resolution of future supplement appropriation will be on future council agenda. We approve that tonight. Item 6, Mueller Civic Center backup propane heater request, estimated expense of $35,000. Chris has received some quotes and awaiting another. Quote is closer to $25,000 versus the estimated $35,000. He stated the propane tank at Evans Plunge is not in use and could be transferred for use with the propane heaters, saving the purchase or rental of a tank. Committee recommends use of contingency funds up to $25,000 will bring before council for approval. Item 7, Mueller Civic Center update on roof skylight repairs, Atlas flat roof repairs, and date of completion 7/25/23, being after the hailstorm damage 7/18/23. Any necessary repairs would be under control and coverage of the contractor. Mayor Nelson, City Administrator Bob Nelson Jr., Alderman Pratt, and Chris inspected the roof and did not find any damage. Chris reported on the gutter size and the skylights. Gutter size was insufficient, by the way. Item 8, revisit budget authority for pickleball court restoration 2024, up to $7,989, approved in 2023-4, not to exceed $10,100, but $2,110.91 was spent in 2023. We will have to reappropriate the funding as we are in a new budget year, council to receive a future supplemental appropriation. Item 9, review repayment of expenses, training, certification, clothing, equipment document for the PD. Get this open here. For the PD chief, per the PD chief request, we're awaiting the chief to meet with the finance committee. Item 10, amend grave digger rates to 10% above contractor rates and add only in emergencies and with superintendent consent. Requires amendment to the cemetery fee resolution. Recommend sending to council for approval. Approval was tonight. We adjourned at 2:30 p.m. and our next meeting is April 8th at 1 p.m. Mueller Civic Center. Subject to your questions.
Melissa, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope, perfect.
Council, do you have any questions?
No.
Thank you. Airport Advisory, Bill?
Okay, Airport Advisory met Thursday, March 7th, 8:30 at the airport. Members present were Shane Miller, Gary Telkamp, and Petra Wilson. Employees present were Ivan Venner, the airport manager, City Administrator Bob Nelson Jr., and KLJ Engineer Charlie Baker. Elected officials present were myself, and no airport tenants were there, and we had one member of the public present, Josh Scott. There were no communications from the public. Under updates, T-hanger update. Crews are working on the electrical. Over 50% of the electrical is complete. 8 of the 10 doors have been switched. No seals have been installed. Door hardware has not been changed, and there's some damaged panels that have not been changed. KLJ is waiting on payroll records per the contract. Regarding the taxi lane project, FAA has approved the plan. Once the grant is released, the contract can then be let, and that's expected in the summer. And completion of that project is expected in the fall, assuming the feds release the money. February fuel sales, we sold 961 gallons of fuel. Within a 70-mile radius, the average fuel price is $6.03 a gallon. Our price remains at $6.20. After discussion, it's recommended that if the wholesale price remains steady or declines, our retail price should be reduced at the April 2nd council meeting at a level to be recommended in late March by the committee. Monthly flight operations, we had an estimated 40 fixed-wing operations in February. There were no balloon launches and no balloon landings. A review of the budget for the airport in February. They had consumed 6.57% of their budget through 16.67% of the year. There were no observations or opportunities for improvement. Under old business, a review of the AWAS 3 project proposal document. There were no additional comments. The document will be finalized and provided to the council prior to the 2025 budget hearings. Under new business, the taxi lane project, the committee recommends that the council act on the various documents which you did tonight. There will be several documents that need to be signed by the mayor, which include the FAA grant application, the grant agreement, the South Dakota DOT grant agreement, and the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. Next was the preventive maintenance update. South Dakota DOT's product sales representative recommends that for the runway that the standard seal coat be used as opposed to the more robust product that they were looking at. By doing this, this would call for a runway reconstruction in about 2030. The capital improvement plan will be modified to reflect this revised DOT recommendation. You approved the glider hangar lease tonight. We also talked about the courtesy and rental cars. The committee agrees with the continuation of offering courtesy cars as they are available, but suggests that the city get out of the rental car business. We're finding that folks are taking our less than pristine cars on quite long journeys, sometimes up as far as Devil's Tower. And
That's against our agreement. There's mileage limits on the agreement they're supposed to sign before they take it.
So we don't think we ought to be in the, after some experience,
Wasn't our intent.
we don't think we ought to be in the rental car business. We think it ought to be truly the courtesy car plan that we started off with, that if somebody needs to come into town to get a meal or maybe bring it in to stay in a motel, and if they buy gas, aviation fuel, then that's good. But as far as providing rental car services, it's probably a liability that the city does not need to undertake. So whatever it is we need to do to get out of the rental car business, we recommend we start taking those steps to do that.
Are you going to surplus and dispose of the 3?
No, we think that we still would use those as courtesy cars, but given their condition, we think that they will probably surplus themselves. So that'll give us something to think about. And with that, our meeting adjourned at 10:04 a.m. And our next meeting will be Thursday, April 4th, 8:30 at the airport.
Any questions for Bill?
If we would have listened, we wouldn't have this discussion. Sorry, Misty. She tries.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Thank you. Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management, Travis?
The Custer Fall River Regional Waste Management District had a board meeting here at the Mula Center last Thursday, March 14th at 7 o'clock. The only thing that pertains to the city was on one of the reports from Jason, the amendment to permit number 23-21 to accept BioCake. That draft language was accepted, and it looks like all we have to do now is submit some tests to get that going. So they should have reached out to Jason to confirm. But Carrie Barker would be the one to talk to further about it. So anyway, so everything's a go on that. So other than that, that's the only thing that pertained to the city. And our next meeting, the next meeting for the board will be Thursday, May 9th, 7 o'clock at the South Annex Building.
Any questions for Travis? Is So I made a note here to follow up with Jason to see if markers have gotten in touch with them. Thank you.
Yeah, I was supposed to get copied on that email, but I never, because they put it so much better than I could portray it here, so I didn't receive it, so.
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah.
Great.
Historic preservation, Deborah?
Historic Preservation will meet next April 3rd, 5 p.m. here at the Mueller Center.
Thank you. Evans Plunge Advisory, Linda?
The Evans Plunge Advisory will meet April 11th, 2024, noon at the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs.
Thank you. Parks, Recreation, and Beautification, Larry, Linda?
I've been doing a lot of appointments, getting ready for a surgery, so she's going to read tonight.
Okay, Parks and Recreation met at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, March 6, 2024 at the Mueller Civic Center. The public present was Caitlin Mossett, Gerald Culligan, Jason Getch, Jason Midgley. Staff present were Mayor Bob Nelson, City Administration Bob Nelson Jr., Bart Sig, Lori Sherrard, Chris Katke, and Gabby Martin. City alderpersons were Larry Pratt, Linda Varvel, and Deb Johnston. Cemetery updates by Lori. A grave digger has been hired, Dallas Alexander. He is responsible for opening, closing, and smoothing site. A new lawnmower was ordered, a 60-inch zero-turn hardtop canopy. The cemetery board is still looking for 2 board members. If anybody is interested, please call City Hall at 605-745-3135. Parks updates by Bart. They continue cutting trees on streets and cemetery with tree stump grinding as time allows. Plowing snow and general maintenance on equipment. We have dethatched Centennial Park. The Mueller Civic Center updates by Chris. March is a busy month with the Holistic Fair bringing in 600 people. The schedule is listed on the city website and Facebook. We are looking at quotes for new carpet in select areas. The skylight in the lobby is still leaking. Recreation updates by Gabby. 4.5 months of winter recreation wraps up the end of March. Looking to add roller skating to summer rec activities along with gymnastics, swimming, golf, and baseball. Dwayne Cruz was asking about the batting cage and using the Mueller Civic Center for practice on rainy days. The Keep Hot Springs Beautiful update. Caitlin they're researching solar lights for the tree lighting project for Centennial Park. Discussed the Ace Hardware wishing to place a cement table on the back third of the corner pod northwest of their building along Albany Avenue. Was suggested this be referred to the council and have Ace owners fill out a donation form for the table and the gravel that they want to place. New business. We discussed the corner pod next to the Ace Hardware. The City Parks addresses was presented by the City Administrator Bob, presented a list of street addresses for city parks, removing the Welcome Island across from Lynn's has a park. Old business items were reviewed and presented by City Administrator Bob. Met with Josh Larson pertaining to the tree grant. Work will commence April 1st in Centennial Park. Pickleball court resurfacing products are here, just waiting on the posts. Butler Park ball fields. Met with Bruce. We'll be moving the batting cages about 100 feet. We'll be checking the lights, irrigation, and move the sheds. Irrigating public access areas along Fall River adjacent to Centennial Park. Just waiting on a commence date. School Street Park Playground met with playground supplier. Plans are not finalized yet. Public comment. Jason Getch, the new president of Shrek, introduced himself, discussed the volleyball court at Butler Park. They desire a grass court on the west side of current skate park area. The group will meet with city employees to find a suitable level spot. They are to meet with Billy, Bart, and Lori. Gerald Culligan met to discuss the food truck park on North River and Battle Mountain, how road construction is going to affect this area, and if there were plans for further development of the area by placing restrooms or porta potties in that area. It was suggested that he attend the DOT meeting that evening to ask his questions. Also, we need to wait and see if any vendors wanted to continue using that site for their food trucks. We adjourned at 3 p.m. with the next meeting scheduled for April 3rd, 2024, 2 p.m. at the Mueller Civic Center.
Any questions for Linda or Larry?
Hey, Linda, when does that cemetery board meet? Is that a day?
They have not met, they meet as needed.
Yeah.
They haven't called a meeting in quite a while.
Yeah.
So if somebody who wasn't available except for evenings, would that be a?
That, you would have to talk with perhaps Lori?
I think so. I think that would work fine.
Yeah, because I guess, she said they only called a meeting as needed, so, and I don't know how often that is.
I think she mentioned something like maybe 5-6 times a year.
Yeah.
I don't think they met
Not
once
even that?
last year.
Okay.
Oh, really?
No, they haven't met at all. Travis, if you want to find out, just get a hold of Lori.
How's that
Have
thing
that
running?
conversation with her. What's that?
How's that cemetery running without a board?
Flat.
I'm kidding.
I think it has a board, it's just short a couple of members, so.
It just needs
Yeah,
2
it has a
members,
board.
yeah.
Oh, so the board's meeting, though?
Not officially.
Not officially, so.
Okay.
Can you clarify, did you say that they were asking someone to fill out a donation form? Because those are donation acceptance forms. So what they would
Okay.
propose is a project and then the city.
Yeah, see that, Ace
They
Hardware
don't
was,
fill it out. They would tell us what they want to do and then we. would
so they have to get with you anyway,
Not with
Right.
me necessarily. It's,
the city.
yeah. What is this in a pod? I'm not sure.
They
what-
want to, they want to put a table, a cement table with benches in one of the 3 sections, the rear section of their pod adjacent to their building.
Okay.
On Albany side, and the plan
There
is
used to be a bench there, in that same area?
There's a bench, it's where the
Linda?
tree was.
Yeah.
Linda, why don't we have her explain to what's going on?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's all.
okay, all right.
We'll tell you if we accept it or not. And I would
Yeah.
imagine, I don't know, Parks or Public Works or what committee would.
Yeah, it was presented to us.
You might want to hang out.
If you want to come forward, just give a quick explanation of what the discussion's about.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Caitlin
It's on.
is on. Caitlin Mossett with Keep Hot Springs Beautiful. Kelly and Brad Bedner at Ace Hardware approached us about them purchasing this table to put in the back section of that pod at Ace because it grew quite a bit during road construction, and they were just looking for a way to use that space. And so the sheet that Misty has the dimensions. The one they've picked out is like a sandstone in color, so it will kind of go with other things around town. And there's room for it. Our board has approved getting it placed there. We brought it to Parks to make sure that there wasn't any issues with it going
And you
there.
have none, you're.
Yeah, it's not in the sightline issue.
This is more than a table.
Yeah, and so it's got a chessboard in the middle.
And then did I hear something about the rocks being different?
Yeah, and so Kelly's idea was that people could bring chessboards or their checkers, or the plan is to our initial plan is to put gravel under it. Whether or not that needs to be concrete, I think is a question for Bob Nelson Jr. I don't know if, for accessibility reasons, if it needs to be concrete or if it's okay being gravel. There'll be some decorative boulders and grasses in that back section, and then Kelly's idea was to do a dry wash with lava rock in 2 colors, and so kids could pick up 12 pieces of each color and play checkers and not have to bring anything with them and then just throw it back in when they're done. Or people can sit at it and read, or it could kind of be used however, so.
Is this for me to keep?
You
or-
can, yeah, I have more. I had it in my folder just in case. That was just my sad drawing for the Parks meeting, so. But yeah, you can keep that one.
Okay, thank you.
And this was an item that was going to be recommended to the city council. Is there anything you want to elucidate on that, Mayor?
Approximate value? Okay. We have different thresholds for whether I just tell you it got accepted by the department responsible for it, or whether you have to accept it depends on the value. So if we could, according to our donation
Right.
policy.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So, say again, Larry?
I said this was just primarily the recommendation to the council, see what the council's thoughts were, and if you have any words to add.
So what I was going to add, Caitlin already talked about, is that once you see a picture of the picnic table, and this is a professional picnic table, it's going to be heavy enough that if somebody wants to move it, there's going to put a lot of effort into it. But in particular, the chessboard, checkerboard built into it, it's just a great idea. And the fact that the folks at Ace Hardware are willing to step up and donate the money. As far as the donation, Misty, what I had recommended to them is that if they want to retain ownership of the table, then they don't need to donate it. But if they want to, hand it off as part of the pod, then submit a donation form so they get recognition for what they're doing, and council can see what it's all about. So that's where the donation part of it came in. This is a heck of an opportunity for Keep Hot Springs Beautiful and the Ace Hardware folks to spruce that area up. And as was already mentioned, that particular bump out, we like to not refer to them as pods, because then there are folks that feel that Keep Hot Springs Beautiful should take care of their own pods. And I keep talking about the fact that they're bump outs that belong to the city. And I appreciate that Keep Hot Springs Beautiful is stepping up and saying, we'll take care of them on behalf of the city. So thank you for that. That's all I have on the picnic table. I did want to mention that the gravedigger has not been hired. Went through a qualification process, I guess. Lori talking with them and saying, here's the expectations of the city. If you're going to be digging graves in our cemetery, here's what we're looking for. And the individual has assured us that they'll meet all those requirements, but has not been hired. We didn't hire somebody else. So. Any other questions for Parks? All right, thank you. Larry, anything you want to add?
Nope, good to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Planning and zoning, Deborah?
Planning and zoning met February 21st at 6 p.m. City Hall. Present were James Forboard, Christine Heidebrink, Dwight Wienia, Joni Hill, and Allison Ritterbusch. Staff present were myself and Scott Suby. New business, a tiny homes report was tabled for James to gather info for the next meeting. And, discussion on a digital sign ordinance, whether to have a committee or by commission write that up if we wanted one. After discussion, it was stated by Allison that the sign ordinance information for consideration should not be generated by the commission, nor should the private sector be involved. It should be generated by the zoning administrator and then reviewed by the planning commission. Commission member terms, the members present reviewed the terms, and there were no changes and no action was taken. Zoning map updating, Scott presented a blank drawing of what we use and is currently on the website. Scott will look at updating the map with the help of a couple members for their recollection of timeframes and when changes were made in the district boundaries. Then the map modifications can be presented to the graphic design company for updating, printing, and laminating. Under old business, Shamanic Cart Path ownership to the city of Hot Springs was not discussed. Planning and Zoning Commission review of deeded and land sold in the city of Hot Springs also wasn't discussed. Should there be a requirement to have a plat drawn or redrawn with revision requests? The goal is to have the legal land description include a drawing of the boundaries for each of the identifying lot lines. There was some discussion about this, but we need to see what other communities are doing. Scott will look into that for comparison. Lot line revision fees was questioned. Charging for the city staff to administer the property line changes was questioned. There's also the planning and zoning time and efforts to consider. Scott commented that where some of these are quite time-consuming, and there often is a series of meetings and numerous hours of work only to have the plan or idea dropped and nothing was accomplished. So they're wondering about having fees charged for these efforts. James stated that the city employees are paid and he does not agree with charging the public another expense. Alley excavation site work minimum design regulations per city ordinance 154. Scott explained that the access attempted on South 6th Street turned into a confusing situation. There were some trees removed and prep was started without a permit or the adjacent neighbor's permission for access, etc. There was a preliminary discussion in March of '22 of the project with the building inspector, but no plans or timeframes were submitted. The dirt work was discussed with the street department and the city engineer, but the final design of the alley and drainage control had never been presented to the city. The new owner attempted to present his idea to the Planning Commission at September 23 P&Z meeting, but he was not aware that he needed to request to be placed on the P&Z Commission meeting agenda, so it was not on the agenda and it was not discussed at the P&Z meeting. The adjacent landowners do not want the changes, and it appears that due to how narrow the right-of-way is, the work cannot be performed without using the neighbor's property for staging. It appears that changing the ground slope and the drainage on their property would also be required. As a result, the opposition from the neighbors at this point, the alley access in that location was scrapped, and another point of access further south is being looked at for feasibility. They adjourned at 7:45 p.m. and the next meeting is Wednesday, March 20th at 6 p.m. City Hall.
Any questions for Deborah?
Yeah, that digital sign ordinance, that just reminded me, the new CTE building that's going up, we're going to have a digital sign out there. Is that something we need to reach out to the Planning and Zoning Commission on to get an approval?
I would talk to Scott, yes. That.
Thank you.
The whole point of that discussion is that, it's a question of getting ahead of it because those signs are coming, they're so prevalent. Do we want digital signs flashing in our town? Do we want to keep them out of the historic preservation district? We really don't have anything in our ordinances about those.
Wouldn't the school be grandfathered in since they already had one before? I'm just...
Talk to Scott. Anything new has to be not grandfathered, I think.
Thank you. Public safety, Bill, JR.
Okay, Public Safety met on Thursday, March 7th, 2 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Present were JR, Deborah, myself, Mayor Nelson, Chief Norton, Assistant Fall River County Emergency Manager Gary Baker, Fall River Health Compliance Manager Renee Staley, Sheriff Lyle Norton, and we had a guest, Department of Criminal Investigation agent. There were no members of the public present. Update from the PD as of the February expense report. The PD had expended 14.23% of its budget through 16.67% of the year. In February, officers responded to 388 calls, 76 of which were considered potentially high risk. Of the 783 calls responded through year-to-date through February, 20.31% of these have been considered high risk. And Travis, you asked the question, so I'll just briefly answer. What we consider high-risk calls are assaults, burglaries and break-ins, disorderly conduct, disturbances, drunkenness, drug citations, DUIs, mental cases, suicide calls, suspicious persons. So anything that tallies up into that is considered high risk.
So those were confirmed? That's what the subject matter, I mean, the call
Yeah.
says one thing, but then they actually confirmed on site that
Oh,
was
yes.
true? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet, and thanks for asking that. We deferred our old business, which was to be review the 7 open action item cases. Under new business was an update of the automatic license plate reading camera project. South Dakota Division of Criminal Investigation, DCI, provided a presentation on DCI's camera technology of license plate readers, LPRs, and their desire to install a camera in the Hot Springs area. The partnership involves the city providing an installation point for an LPR camera to DCI. As this is a DCI project, there would be no cost to the city. However, the police department, as well as Fall River County Sheriff's Office, would benefit from the technology. The basic purpose of the LPR technology is to assist law enforcement, to include our local police department and sheriff's office, in ongoing and active criminal investigations. This tool is aimed to address violent crimes and felonies, to include murders, kidnappings, human trafficking, drug trafficking, Amber Alert child abductions, and stolen vehicles, amongst other crimes. The LPR cameras are designed to recognize license plates only. They do not identify speeding violations, stop sign violations, nor is it used for facial recognition. It does not identify registered owners of vehicles. Access to this technology is controlled by strong policies and procedures. As examples, only being used when a crime has occurred. Their DCI policies define who can use it. It defines the record retention periods and how the data can be shared. So this is an inform to the council that they have requested an installation point. And so we'll be proceeding with that.
Is there any way they can come in to talk to us? I mean, they're just, they want to install it and we say yes?
Yeah, they came in and talked at Public Safety. This is, just to give you a little backup, we have been pursuing a project like this for about 3 years, and we were going to do it on our own nickel. And we found out, we were able to find out that DCI is pursuing a statewide project, and they desired to put a camera up in Hot Springs, so we're able to get the benefit of the technology without any impact to our budget.
So these people are just interested in catching criminals?
Yeah.
And so they want to put their business here?
Yeah.
What's DCI stand for?
The Department of Criminal Investigation. It's an arm of the state police.
They're actually putting cameras on multiple borders of South Dakota, multiple access points to South Dakota.
South Dakota that bad?
Yeah,
It's a main thoroughfare for drug trafficking between Denver north and Washington, the West Coast.
I guess it'll be a pro for the new Justice Center, huh? You can gather all the people in and put them in there.
This is something they've been working on for quite some time.
So the public safety can go ahead and say yes and then put it in?
It's their equipment, it's their process. We just get the benefit of it. We're giving them access to real estate is all. And what it does is when say there's an Amber Alert out there and license plate XYZ has been identified as someone who's been involved, say, in a parental kidnapping. And that vehicle drives by an LPR camera. When that vehicle drives by, whoever they've notified or however they've programmed the system, that agency gets a text that says that vehicle has driven by this location. So instead of driving resources out in this relatively remote area trying to find a kidnapped child, these cameras can identify a vehicle that is a suspect vehicle that has kidnapped a child, or if it's some other felony.
Do they have an agreement? Like, is there an agreement in writing with everything that's, like, parameters that'll be put in place?
Yeah, that's what all the DCI policies and procedures are. There's, we're not inventing anything new. This stuff is all over the country. Since they've had them up in Rapid, they have recovered about 50 stolen vehicles just in the last year or two. So it's really...
So we don't really know what the benefit is until we install it?
Oh, we know what the benefit is. It's just we get to be part of we gain some of the benefit.
And it's no cost to the city.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm just worried about the citizen side, privacy and all that.
There's no
Expectation.
There's no expectation of privacy. Your license plate does not have an expectation of privacy.
Anywhere you go in town, there's cameras out. There's cameras all over the place. I
But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be
Your
cautious.
privacy is already
Well,
given
and
up anyway.
that's why we're utilizing, this isn't something we're doing on our own. We've checked with our attorneys. This is just, we're allowing the Department of Criminal Investigation, which is an arm of the state police, access to put one of their cameras up in our town.
Right, but it's a little small portion of we, when you say we. That's what I'm kind of concerned about.
So
I mean, I'm just being cautious.
No, and that's fine. That's why, and we exercised, I think, the same level of caution by running this by our attorneys to make sure we had the right to give them access to an installation point. Because there is a lot of stuff going on out there. And I wish it wasn't. But the technology is needed to address not only the type of crime, but the volume of crime that's going on out there.
So Bill, if you could...
Thanks, Bill.
What I'm hearing in Travis's concerns are some of the same concerns that the public safety folks talked about, and the privacy of the individual. Is that going to be violated in any way? So if you could go back through what we had talked about with DCI, understandably there's a reluctance to not have a public announcement, that this particular device is going to be in this location. And to address those concerns, if you could go back through,
Sure.
The precautions, what it's going to be used for, what it's not going to be used for, and to the point that we're talking about right now, there is no presumption of privacy when it comes to an identification of a license plate. We all drive with our license plates on our vehicles down the street every day. By asking the state of South Dakota to give us that license plate, it is not private. Bill, if you could just go through those again.
I was just going to say, I don't want any extra people though watching.
No, it's...
I know it's not private, but I mean, I don't need anybody extra looking at me.
No, it's totally within the law enforcement community.
And then I'll add a comment after.
I mean, we can do this in private if you want.
No, you raised the question, and it's a valid question. Again, I'm going to just reread the points that the agent gave us. The basic purpose of the LPR technology, license plate reader technology, is to assist law enforcement, to include our local police and sheriff's office, in ongoing and active criminal investigations. This tool is aimed to address violent crimes and felonies, to include murders, kidnappings, human trafficking, drug trafficking, Amber Alert child abductions, and stolen vehicles, amongst other crimes. The LPR cameras are designed to recognize license plates only. They do not identify speeding violations, stop sign violations, nor is it used for facial recognition. It does not identify registered owners of vehicles. Access to this technology is controlled by strong policies and procedures within DCI. Again, it only is being used when a crime has occurred. Their procedures define who can use it. It defines the record retention period and how the data is shared.
I'd like to see the policy. They should have a policy, or a contract with the city?
We don't have a contract with them because we are not utilizing their information. We are providing them an installation point.
Right, but I mean, is there like a lease type, how long is it going to be there? Like, once it's in there, how do you get it out, or can you get it out? You know, what if we say, we don't, like a council later on says, we don't want this anymore. Is it easy to get rid of?
Yeah, I mean, it's a single point pole, so.
I mean, I just want to make sure all our bases are covered on the front end so we don't run into trouble on the back end.
If there were an agreement or contract we have to enter into by statute, you would have to review it and approve it as council. So what he's saying, we're just providing an access point. We're not entering into an agreement. There's no contract with.
Well, we're entering into agreement by allowing them to place it.
Yeah, I don't believe it's a written agreement.
It's nonverbal.
It's not
An access point.
that was the first question we asked is, does council need to take a formal action to allow this? And there's nothing statutorily that requires council to take that action.
Is there anything our attorneys would like to add to this conversation?
Gentlemen?
No, in that we have covered it. All of these things, I think, that you're asking, Travis, would be absolutely valid if the conversation we're having would have been the one I was trying to do 2 years ago when I was trying to buy an entire camera and notification system. Absolutely valid, because I was trying to do what DCI is doing. And quite frankly, I couldn't get the vendor to talk to me anymore. So we dropped it, and then the discussion happened with DCI, and they said, hey, we heard you're interested in these. We've already got some. Can we put one up in your town?
So for our attorneys, are we going down a road we shouldn't be?
It's really not our place to say. You're asking us to, I think, opine on a policy matter.
If,
As it pertained,
It's on.
You're on.
It's on.
as it pertains to the present discussion, I feel this is really a policy matter. I don't know that it's our place to opine. This would be you're certainly within the council's parameters to debate and discuss this.
If you have any legal questions, I don't think there's anything to add to the discussion here. The statutes are very simple on this point, on the camera's legality.
so we're not violating any statute by allowing DCI to place a camera within Hot Springs?
Given what DCI has expressed as how they're going to use that, no.
Okay.
But obviously, the city doesn't have control over, if they violate the law, no. You're relying upon something that they propose to do that's legal.
All right.
So we don't really have any control over it.
No, we don't. But they are, I would say, and now I'm going to try to use I would say a prudent individual could assume that a statewide law enforcement organization is likely to properly use this technology, because failure to do so would negate its benefit to that organization.
I mean, yeah, you listed all those, and I'm sure it's not an exhaustive list, but I'd like to see something in writing that this is all we're going to cover, because it's been said that everybody commits a crime all the time. You know, when you say crime, that could be anything. I mean, even though it says in writing right there, I'd like to see that in writing. This is only why it's here. This is the whole sole purpose, a mission statement for the camera, if you will. That's what I would like to personally see. I'm not against safety, public safety. I just like to see what all.
Bill, is this something you two could pursue at a later date?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and you know, quite frankly, this was a courtesy inform to the council, and I'm not doing that, trying to say that to be
under the table,
ugly. We didn't need to tell the council that we were going to let them do this, but that is not proper, because you're going to see something going on, and we want it to be above board. Plus, like I said, we've been having this LPR discussion for, if you go back in the minutes, for 2 or 3 years. The good news is the stuff I was looking at was going to cost $18,000 per camera, and I wanted about 5 of them, plus the back office cost and the annual cost. And this is costing nothing for the benefit that we're going to get, and we're going to get some benefit from it.
Right. All right. Thanks, Bill.
So. And the only other thing we talked about is we did have an information-only item. There was a recently signed agreement between the Fall River Radio Club and Fall River Emergency Management. They have an agreement to provide services and assistance with each other. And our meeting adjourned at 3:15. Our next meeting is Thursday, April 4th, 2 p.m. at the Mueller Center.
Any other questions for Bill? As I'm listening to the conversation, I feel like we're bumping up against something that we agreed we wouldn't do, and that a recommendation would come out of committee without a formal action followed by council. None of the other council has weighed in on how they feel about, that isn't involved with public safety, how they feel about this particular issue. Travis has asked for a copy of the agreement. I think that's the road we need to go down, is putting this on an agenda for council to actually say, we support the recommendation that's coming out of public safety to place a camera somewhere within city limits.
We should have some kind of summary, even if there's not a written agreement with DCI, if we're going to do that, some kind of summary for them to review.
I recognize that's probably not what public safety wanted to hear. I was part of the conversation. I think this is a good thing. But I also want to recognize that there are there's at least one council member that would like more information, so he's comfortable in either supporting it or voting against it.
Thank you.
Bill, JR?
I guess I had a concern. You're talking just one camera, or is it going to be multiple cameras at various points in town?
They have one camera that they want to install.
Just one?
Now, if we wanted to put more cameras in on at our expense, we could buy them and utilize their system. At some point in the future, they could possibly add more cameras to their system. Right now, it's one.
Okay, so this is just like a starting point, so to speak, for them?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
So what you're saying, Mayor, is that we're going to have to vote on this, bottom line. I mean, Bill's already got everything worked out, so we're going to have to vote on this. We're going to have to make a recommendation from Public Safety that we vote on it.
Yes. We've gotten guidance, I believe it's from South Dakota Municipal League, that when we're talking about these open meeting laws, when we talk about these kinds of things and recommendations are coming out of the committees, those recommendations should be put in front of the full council for their consideration.
That works for me.
And I recognize that this is very near and dear to Travis's heart. We're putting full faith in DCI that they won't abuse the system. I think it's a necessary system. I think there's benefits that can be derived from it. Bill was talking about Amber Alerts. You can talk with the Sheriff's Department, you can talk with our police department. Highways 79 and 18 between Rapid City and Denver are known drug traffic routes. DCI has 5 of these cameras that they're looking to place somewhere, and they've identified this particular entry point into our state as a route that they are very, very, very concerned about from a drug standpoint. And if we can get abductions or other things identified, I don't see that that's a bad thing.
So then is it impossible, Bill, to have DCI come up here and talk to us also? Put that on the agenda and have a conversation?
I don't think it's impossible, no. I
mean, because if we're going to do it, let's do it, you know.
We should have had a quorum at the Public Safety Committee.
Then you would have to have if you were going to take action, that you would have to have an agenda and minutes, and they would have been posted, published in the newspaper. That's what the open meeting laws say. It's the sovereign authority that triggers those requirements. So, and typically our advisory committees do not have sovereign authority.
Exactly.
Another benefit to Hot Springs and our police department and the sheriff's department is they have access to input vehicles that they are searching for within our community or surrounding areas, or ones that are coming towards us can be input by our department. So our police department's looking forward to having that ability to do that.
So, we'll continue to work with DCI and see if we can get him here on the next council meeting.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate the council recognizing my concerns. Thank you.
All right, on to Public Works. Bill, Hal?
Okay. Glad I brought a full bottle of water tonight. Okay, Public Works met on Tuesday, February 27th, 1 p.m. here at the Mueller Center. Present were Hal, myself, Deborah, Mayor Nelson, Tracy Bastian, and Captain Phil Shively. Members of the public present were Craig Romey and Gerald Culligan. Communications from the public, concerns again over non-compliance with traffic regulations in the city ordinance regarding parked vehicles. The concern was acknowledged, and the member of the public was informed that the PD continues to address the issue. Secondly, the concern over the food vendor park across from the Evans Plunge Mineral Springs. The issues were discussed. There are no budgeted funds for 2024 for improvements to the food vendor park. Considering the newly privately owned and operated facility on Jensen Highway, the need for the city-operated park will have to be evaluated based on the actual need for the facility, and if improvements are needed, they will have to be budgeted and discussed in the appropriate budget hearings. New business, lead service line survey. October 16th, 2024 is the deadline for the nationwide survey as required by the EPA. The issue is how we ensure this gets accomplished. All residents are encouraged to go to the city website for instructions regarding on how to complete this required survey. And I believe those instructions have been put out on Facebook. They're out on the city website, and I believe they were also on the last water bill. So we all, as city residents, need to go take a picture of our water service entrance, go out on the address that's out on the city website so we can complete our surveys to let the EPA know whether or not we have lead lines coming into our homes. Second item, we discussed Hickory Street drainage. New issues have come about because of recent construction. The Streets Department has a plan to mitigate the new drainage issues arising from this change. Item 3, the 2024 paving projects. We've reviewed the major repairs on our list, and the street superintendent was asked to provide council with a priority list based on maintenance costs. Item 4, the 2024 free dump weeks. The dates have been set, which are June 3 through 7 and September 9 through 14. So we need to make sure we communicate this information to the public via the city website and Facebook pages. Item 5, wastewater treatment facility, digester repairs. Some issues with the polymer pump for the sludge press have come about, so council can expect some associated bills with that polymer pump and sludge press. Water fill station, there were some suggested traffic flow improvements. We discussed the traffic markings, which may help traffic flow, but with the variety of connections on users' equipments, well, the markings may not fit a mandated traffic flow, so no action will be taken on this. One of the items we've had on our action item list is some replatting of 905 South 6th property line, which is adjacent to the Mueller Center parking lot. The property owner requested that the property line be changed in order to erect a barrier between his property and the dump station. That property owner will be notified to proceed with a revision if he's still interested, and once this is done, the plat will be brought before council for approval. Under departmental summaries, if you weren't already aware, the brush pile was burned on Wednesday the 28th, beginning at 12:15 a.m., and the mayor discussed that at the last council meeting. Looking ahead, Streets will be removing 2 elm trees at the old depot due to the root damage from the road reconstruction work. And the update of the water system hydraulic model is expected in the next month or so, as most of the field work has been completed on that. Active and inactive project information can be found on the current Public Works report on the city website. We adjourned at 2:36 p.m. and the next meeting is Tuesday, March 26th, 1 p.m. here at the Mueller Center.
Hal, anything you'd like to add?
No.
Any questions for either of them?
Yeah, I got one for you, Bill. Your first one, you talked about the vehicles, okay? Do we need to take a look at that ordinance again? Because I know there's a vehicle parked somewhere that's been parked for 2 years, has not moved, it's got a flat tire, and all they do every year is they re-tag it, and it stays right there. I mean, what, the vehicle hasn't run, hasn't done anything?
Send the PD or me an email of...
I've done that. I've talked to, I talked to Bob Jr. I mean, is this something that we as a council need to look at the ordinance, put some teeth in it, and re-examine it?
Send me an email. We're working at it.
Well, if it's
That's all I
legal.
can say.
Yeah, if it's legal.
Yeah, it's not legal to have an operating vehicle sit on the road for 2 years. And it's already in the ordinance that it's not. It's enforcement, not the ordinance.
Say that again?
It's not the ordinance that needs rewritten. It's already an ordinance violation. It's the enforcement.
That's why I'm like, you know.
Send me an email with the location and the license.
Okay.
And I'll work at it from my end.
Okay.
Include me in that, please.
Okay.
I'll look.
You got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Southern Hills Golf Course, that's me. They had their first meeting of the season on March 11th, 6 o'clock to 8:30 out at the clubhouse. The golf course superintendent, Jason Happy, director of golf operations, Jill Lowe, committee members, Gail Sprinthal, Colette Miller, Don Olsted, Kathy Vollmer, Greg Berry. They also had a guest, Holly Dunn, at the meeting. They're looking at the actual role of the advisory committee. They want to make sure they understand what the city is expecting out of them. Misty was good enough to provide a document that addresses the expectations of the different committees. So they've taken a look at that and understand what we're expecting out of them. They're concerned about the clubhouse rock wall, as we are. Construction is going well on that. If you get a chance to drive out by the clubhouse, you'll see the new landscape rock that's been put up out there. Council extended their finish date by a month because they ran into some large gypsum rocks out there, and they ran into some unstable soil that you folks approved a change order to address those issues, but construction is going well out there right now. They're redoing a contract for stone tee ads. They're looking at a one-year contract for 2 stone tees. They're also reviewing the cart policy. There was a number of carts that were damaged. They were driven in the rough or other places, and we spent a little more money on repairs than we needed to. So they're looking at implementing a signed damage agreement for anybody that runs carts out there. The guests that they had approached them about a concessionaire at the clubhouse. There's been some desire by some of the golf members to have an expanded food selection. Some of them would actually like to have a restaurant out at the clubhouse. Space doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't allow what they're hoping for. So this is a conversation that's going to take a while to resolve. The city administrator, myself, Jason, and Jill will be having a conversation on Friday to try to understand just exactly what this concessionaire wants and who's going to fund all of that and where it's all going to happen. We have a lot of things that need to be taken care of out at the golf course as far as the infrastructure, the water systems, and just a number of things out there. That doesn't leave any room for adding a restaurant out there on the city's dime. The other thing I'm concerned about is competing with our local restaurants. They have a enough problem with the road reconstruction and other things that are going on, that do we want to get into a situation where we're competing with our local restaurants? One of the arguments is going to be that by having expanded restaurants, then the tax base will raise. This isn't going to be an easy conversation to have, but we'll start having it and see what we can have out there. Those are the things they talked about. They meet the second Monday of every month, and they'll be meeting at the clubhouse at 6 o'clock. So, and Misty, I'll give you the copy of the minutes here.
Thank you.
Any questions for me on golf course advisory? All right. Our city administrator is not with us. Anything from the finance officer?
My monthly report I gave you is a couple weeks off, so we didn't give it the last time. Financials show a lot of red year to date. By all funds, $500,000 loss, but that's why we budget and plan, and we have reserves. Our 2023 audit field work is scheduled for April 8th. We've moved up on their schedule, so that's great. They'll be in our office for just a couple days. And I'm happy to have them before I present the annual report to you, because that'll be helpful to me if there's any changes that need to be done. We'll discuss them during that time that they're here for the field work. The other updates are kind of outdated, but something that didn't show up on here is the administrative leave days that were granted for Good Friday, 3/29, and Easter Monday, 4/1. So our council meeting for April will be on Tuesday the 2nd, as opposed to April Fool's Day, which seems good. I did send out an email to all the council members about that, but wanted to note it in the public meeting. Circulating nominating petitions for mayor and wards 1 through 4 council members. They're due to City Hall by the 26th at 5 p.m. We don't recommend you wait till the last minute, but if you did, that's when they have to be there by to be eligible. We are partially hosting that Energize conference, and because of our sponsorship, we have 3 spots available. You approved Ariel and I to attend, so council still has 1 spot. If anyone is interested in attending the Energize conference on behalf of the city, you don't have to pay the registration fee, so let me know. I have contact that we can get you registered for. So let me know if there's interest for that. I'm sorry I don't have the dates.
It's May 22nd and 23rd.
Thank you.
Yes.
With the red on the revenue and expenditures, I am concerned with the cash balance in our utility or enterprise funds, that's water and wastewater, for 2024. So please, throughout the years, I provide these reports to you. Look at those funds, look at their cash balances, and in any committees where you're discussing additional unbudgeted or unplanned expenses, specifically in those 2 funds in particular, do that with the caution that we have contracts we've agreed to that we still owe for that exceed the cash balance currently in those funds. And we talked about this in admin finance, and they are generating revenue, but at this point, our expenses will exceed that revenue. So we need to pay attention to that as we're making plans for the rest of this year and next until those funds get caught back up. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for Misty?
I'd just like to make a little more clarification on the Energize conference. There is an article in this last week's paper about how anyone can sign up for it. It's going to be really good for our little town to have this conference, and really would like anyone who is interested in how to promote businesses in small communities is the subject of it. And there'll be breakout talks throughout town at local businesses. So it's going to be an interesting conference that you don't usually go to, one like that.
Yes. All right, we're already deep into the evening, and we have an executive session that may take a while. So I'm going to forego a mayor's report and ask for a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion, we go into executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2-3, legal.
Second.
Discussion?
Can we take a short break?
Please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes, and yes, there'll be a short bladder break.
Probably will be a while. She's got eye surgery tomorrow, so she's avoiding it.
So if we cheat, we're back at 10:05. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, that's quick.
Did you pick one of those, Misty?
I did, thank
All
you.
right. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Have a good evening, everyone.
All right, thank you.